continuing our series of movies filmed in different states, and we brought in a special guest today because we're talking about the Carolinas, and this one has been born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina.
Right here.
Doesn't get any better, does it, Jacqueline?
No, nothing's finer.
Nothing is finer than to be in Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or from it.
Or from it. Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're going to talk about 10 movies that were filmed in the Carolinas. We've combined both states so that we can pick the best films. So I think we're going to start with the quintessential South Carolina movie, The Notebook.
I think that actually might be my favorite.
I mean, I think it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Like,
Not even.
I think I could watch it over and over again, and it never gets old.
So I saw this movie when I was living in Atlanta, and I came out, and I am not going to lie, I was sobbing hysterically. I, could not stop crying. And my friend was like, oh, my God, why are you crying so much? It wasn't that sad. And I was like, no, I'm not crying because of the way it ended. I'm crying because I'm never going to find a love like that.
It's so true. It's not realistic. I mean,
well,
maybe
it is. Yeah.
Maybe it's realistic, but for that time period.
That's the sad part, though. If it is realistic, I'm never going to find it.
Well, neither of us will, so.
All right, let's act like maybe we will.
Okay.
Okay. So, so filmed all around Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
There's the movie theater down off King Street,
Yes.
which is pretty...
The American Theater.
Yep, pretty obvious filming location there. There's that corner that's on King Street, which is pretty crazy. You know, when they lay down in the street?
Where the Morris Hill Call used to be.
Right, they lay down in the street with their one stoplight.
Yeah,
and
which is now history. It's no longer there either.
Exactly,
so
but the craziest part about that is, though, still if you go there and you look around, it does look like you're in old times.
Absolutely.
The buildings that are there still, though, look
it's
like
kind of stuck in time.
They've been there forever, which is awesome. There's a Pitt Street in Old Village, which is still looks the same.
Yeah.
There's Cypress Gardens, where they're out in the canoe. In the middle of the ducks. Yep. And then the house that he builds her is...
Where is the house?
It's on Guatemala Island.
Right.
It's off a dead-end street, and I have tried to get there and take a picture, and I see people online who've taken a picture, but you have to, walk onto the person's property, which I feel really rude doing. So it is my goal to find someone with a boat who will take me down the river so I can see it.
We will make this happen.
Yeah, we're going to make this happen.
We'll make this
happen
summer. For you.
Yes, that's the goal. And
there's Boone Hall.
Boone Hall is where her family lives. Yep. Yeah.
You know what actually shocked me was when he's driving down the road and he slams into the fence because they're gone for the summer. And I think to myself every time I watch it, I'm like, is that the actual fence? Did they actually let them do that?
Yeah.
Is that historical property?
It was probably movie magic.
Yeah,
probably.
Right.
But when he hangs on the fence and is looking in there, that fence is there.
Yeah.
And every time I'm there, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to reenact it. Speaking of reenacting it, let's talk about our favorite line in it. When she thinks he didn't write to her. Yeah. And he's like, I wrote to you every day, 365 letters. And she says, you wrote me? And he says, it's not over.
It's still...
Yeah, it was never over. It
still
isn't over.
And then they passionately make out.
Exactly. There's a lot of passionate makeouts in that movie.
It's pretty great.
It's pretty hot. I mean, it's such a great cast. Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams, who dated either during the filming or after.
Yeah,
and we all,
for a long time.
Wanted to be together forever. And Jenna Rollins and James Garner, such a great cast.
Good. So good.
It is a good movie. And there are a lot of dudes who will admit that they like the movie.
They should.
They don't want to admit they've seen it.
There's a masculine feel to the movie.
There is. Yeah. Well, and we all want to believe that men want to love
someone that much.
Yes.
For that long.
that
many years.
We want it to be us.
You lusted over one person and built a house for them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right, let's move on to a second, also Nicholas Sparks, which, no surprise, there's multiple Nicholas Sparks films because it's the Carolinas. That's where they're all set. So let's go with Dear John.
Such a good one.
Also filmed in the Charleston area.
Yep. One of the main beginning scenes where they first meet on the Isle of Palms Pier.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beach I grew up on.
That's really the only part I've seen because I got bored like 10 minutes into the movie, but luckily Jacqueline has seen the whole movie.
Yep, where he drops her purse, or her purse gets dropped into the from the pier, and he rushes out to save her purse, and that's how they meet.
Knight in shining armor.
Yep, Savannah and John.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Savannah. I mean, could that be more of a Southern name?
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently a Southern name, but not a Southern sweetheart. Apparently.
We haven't heard great things about her.
Haven't heard great things about her. So my girlfriend actually owns a salon here in Charleston. And before she got her career started, she had a lot of connections to people. So she ended up on the set, behind the scenes, doing like with the hair and makeup artists. And she said she was literally in mid-conversation with Amanda. And she just kind of said, oh, that's interesting, and just kind of turned and walked away.
Moved on. And
it was literally mid-conversation, so we'll leave it to...
That's not really Southern
Maybe
charm.
It's a rumor. I don't know, but apparently...
She's your friend, so
not
it's
really,
probably not.
Not really the best reputation in this in Charleston,
right.
anyways.
Well, let's not dwell on that.
No, we won't.
It's also stars... who's John? Channing Tatum. Also not on the list, but also Magic Mike XL. They're making their way up to Myrtle Beach. Also filmed in the Carolinas, but didn't make the list. Third choice is also Nicholas Sparks. Yeah. Stars a guy who I really do love. Used to be on my list for many years. My top 5 dudes that I wanted to get with. Josh Duhamel. That's Safe Haven. Julianne Hough, yeah. She's
everyone wants her haircut these days.
I feel like that was maybe like her first film after Dancing with the Stars when she decided to like get into acting. Yeah. And I think she did a good job.
I think she did a great job.
Yeah.
She played a tough role, like the whole domestic abuse.
Yeah, coming off of a bad
life.
Yeah, and
she did it well. I think she did it well without being cheesy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get off of the Nicholas Sparks track. And let's go with, this is a North Carolina film, Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. One of my all-time favorite movies. There's a trend here, by the way. I think so far every state that we've done has had a Sandy Bullock movie. Yes, I call her Sandy because we're friends. I also say her name really harsh, which we've joked about before because I say Bullock. It's probably not how, it's probably like Sandra Bullock. Yeah. But I say Bullock. I don't know why.
I definitely say Bullock.
Yeah, because you say it like normal person. And I say it like
this is why it's a funny joke.
Love that movie. Love that movie. I actually made a scrapbook for a friend. I was like inspired by that movie.
Over the Yaya Sisters.
Yeah, I bought like
all of us should have that. Like your crew of girlfriends should have this.
You're right. But it's hard to like, but see, you have a like strong crew of girlfriends because you're from the South. Yeah. And like you all still live here, or maybe a couple of come and gone.
We did grow up with the like box of letters, you know, like write your girlfriends and like you give it back to them and they respond. And I have the whole box of letters from like 8th to like
that's awesome
11th grade.
And I have some of that, but I've moved around so much that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So my friends are kind of scattered and from different places, but I wrote down my favorite line because I love when she's like complaining about Vivi, her mom, and she does the whole like, fix me a drink, hand me a Nebutal, Scarlett O'Hara, and I love it. I think every time I watch that movie, I try to talk with a Southern accent, which I tried last week, and Jack told me to stop.
Yeah.
I try.
Her finest hour.
I really try.
She tries.
I try to fit in down here in Charleston. I can't help it that I'm very
you fit in.
northern eclectic.
You're just not the Southern accent kind of girl.
All right, fine.
It's okay.
Fine.
It's all right.
All right, so moving on. Let's go to... All right, so I've seen all of these films. Jack's only seen the first one. I think if you follow the blog, you know I'm super into... May the odds be ever in your favor, The Hunger Games. Jack's seen read and seen the first one, which is really okay because the second and third were shot in Georgia, so that's all right.
I can actually talk about this one.
Yeah, the first one is North Carolina, District 9, or District 9, District 12. District 9 is a whole nother movie altogether. District 12 is up in North Carolina. I did a whole blog where I went up there and kind of retraced the steps, but like Peta's Bakery and the row houses where they lived, it was an actual abandoned mill town in North Carolina. It's kind of creepy. I guess it's what you would call a ghost town.
Yeah.
But totally.
An actual ghost town, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was literally abandoned.
Literally, there's nothing.
From the 20s.
Yep, just abandoned homes. And super cool, though, that they were able to, like, walk in and just film. Everything was, like, kind of built for them.
Yeah.
They didn't have to build anything for District 12. Of course, the other scenes they kind of did. I think in the first one, the Capitol, they used Charlotte. They did, like, at the NASCAR Hall of Fame and at the convention center, they kind of had to set up. But that whole district all existed. It's pretty cool. It is like a step back in time, which probably is one of the coolest things about the Carolinas and why people film movies here.
Yeah. You
can step back in time. Now, in real life, that might kind of be a bad thing. But in movie life, it's great.
It's so great. It is nice.
So, so that movie, obviously, Liam Hemsworth is the dude.
The friend she should have gone with.
All right, I'm a PETA fan. But whatever. Okay. So, again, not on the list, but he's in a Nicholas Sparks movie as well. But it was filmed in Georgia. It didn't make the Georgia list, but
close to us.
Yes,
in Savannah,
very close.
Tybee Island,
and that's the movie with Miley Cyrus, The Last Song. Again, not on the list, but Nicholas Sparks, and that's like a whole North Carolina
another
thing.
shout out.
Yeah. So let's go with Upstate. An Upstate film is there were scenes also here in Charleston, but The Patriot.
There were a lot of scenes here.
Well, there was a scene on the beach.
Yes.
There's a scene, like I said, at the College of Charleston.
And then there's a scene at the Customs House.
Right, at the Customs House.
Where he's signing up to join the war.
But all of the battle scene, and then the battle scene, I'm guessing, that was in the swamps has to be...
Francis Marion.
Oh, there you go. But still not Charleston. But southern part of the state. But then the plantation house that he's building, that he lives in...
The Francis Marion Forest is here.
Oh, it is? But I think I thought those parts were up closer
Maybe
to
it was supposed to be the
Florence.
Francis Marion Forest, but not really. Maybe it really wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. But I know his plantation and a lot of the battlefields are in the upstate outside of Rock Hill.
Florence and stuff.
No, they did a lot out of Rock Hill, which
okay.
I was living in Charlotte at the time, and I went to college in Rock Hill at Winthrop. And so it was just really funny to me. I remember, like, actually writing, probably in my journal at the time, because we didn't have Facebook. And I said something like, I can't believe I went to college somewhere where they can film, like, Revolutionary War scenes. But I crossed paths with Mel Gibson, thank you, at a Panthers game.
Really?
I was in the booth.
Was he drunk?
He was not.
Not drunk and angry?
Well, he was drinking, but I don't think he was drunk.
Not angry.
I will tell you what he was is super short.
Super short?
Super short.
Like how short?
Like
we're short.
Like maybe an inch taller than me. He was short.
Wow.
Maybe
someone
5'6".
who's that short and has anti-Semitic things to say.
Well, that's why he's angry. He's got Napoleon complex.
Syndrome.
Exactly. But I didn't like that movie. It's so funny. So I lived with someone who was English, and that movie would come on, especially around the 4th of July. They played a lot, and she would like literally walk in and be like, "You can't watch this movie. Change the channel."
That is so
And it's so funny because she's not like the kind of person who's like spouting off English. She's lived in the States for a long time, but that's one movie she's like, I'm not watching this movie.
Yeah.
Turn this movie on.
That's so interesting. I've always actually, honestly, it's funny that you say that because I've always thought, what would people, like, what do they think? Do they even air this over there? Like,
probably
what do they think about it?
Probably not. And also it was funny, not related, but somewhat related. She had literally a red coat. And so we would all tease her out, like, that the red coat had arrived. And sometimes she would get really annoyed. Like, one night we were playing Hangman, because, you know, I do weird things at bars. And she was trying to figure out the phrase, and the phrase was no taxation without representation. She's like, I'm going to punch you in the face. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love, and then Patriot, the son that dies, is passed away, drug overdose.
Oh,
married to has a child with Michelle Williams.
Heath Ledger.
Which, you know, that was pre, so I guess. Wasn't Heath Ledger heyday or pre-heyday or kind of right as he...
I think he was kind of, I don't know.
On
maybe
the
it was
upswing.
Heyday. Yeah,
or on the upswing, yeah.
The heyday was like the 10 Things I Hate About You, like early millennial.
Well, and then he did Brokeback, which was like really when people were like, this guy's talented.
This guy's great. And then he was, you know, filming Batman.
Yeah.
Which was his...
Yeah. So I feel like this was kind of the start. And also it was interesting because he's Australian. And Mel's Australian. Which is always interesting.
Michelle?
She's American. All right. So next up we're going to go to... Oh, speaking of a crazy short person. We go from Mel Gibson to Tom Cruise. So Days of Thunder. Now, you want to talk about someone's heyday. I mean, he kind of has always been on his heyday, right? But I feel like Days of
the whole
Thunder...
Scientology thing.
Yeah. Days of Thunder was pre-Scientology.
Yes.
So Days of Thunder
you know, Top Gun. I'll
Right.
watch anything that's like old school Tom Cruise before we all realized he was insane.
Yes.
Pre-Katie, pre-Sofa.
But Days of
Jumping up and
Thunder
down.
was in the middle of Nicole. Because he had done the...
That's why everyone loved the
kind
movie.
of met her there, right? Yeah, and then they did that weird Irish movie. And then later they did Eyes Wide Shut together. But this was really like the epitome of the Tom Nicole thing. And it was very... I felt like maybe this... I'm trying to think. I guess when this came out, I was still living up north. But it kind of like... I think when you live up north and you hear about NASCAR, and now NASCAR is big all over the place, but growing up, and I knew Indy, like 500, those kind of cars, so like I didn't know much about NASCAR. This kind of like introduced me to NASCAR, this movie, and didn't look like a total redneck sport. It like kind of put it in perspective of like, okay, this is an actual sport.
This is real.
And I love like the whole storyline with Rowdy and getting like the brain damage and not wanting to admit it, and then Nicole's character getting upset that Tom
He's
that was
even
going to
racing
happen.
in general.
Yeah. And then John C. Reilly's in it, who we've actually talked about on previous posts. John C. Reilly's amazing. Like, and this was like, no one knew who he was. Like, super young.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was filmed at it was filmed at multiple courses, but, driving courses? It's not a golf movie. Multiple tracks. Darlington being one of the main ones. It was also obviously the Daytona 500 is in it, but then Lowe's Motor Speedway, which was just Charlotte Motor Speedway back then. So I think it's you know one we didn't put on the list that was also filmed at those tracks was the Will Ferrell one.
You know, I watched that on Easter randomly because I don't have cable. So
it's been on. I saw it was actually on TV like last week.
We needed a comedy, and
guess who else is in that movie? John C. Reilly.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We didn't even say it.
I know. What is that damn name? What's wrong with us that we can't?
Ricky
Ballad
Bobby.
of Ricky Bobby, but
No.
what's the actual name? It says something.
Ricky Bobby.
Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
I don't know.
We might have had too much of this.
Or not enough, my brain. It's not wet enough.
All right. We'll just super it in right here.
Okay. You know,
and all you watching are be like, you idiots. What's wrong with you girls? You left it off and you don't remember the name. Let's go with a Julia Roberts classic.
I was going to go with that.
So this movie came out after Pretty Woman.
Yes.
So we had...
Everyone already loved her.
We had Satisfaction. Then we had Steel Magnolias.
Yes.
Then we had Pretty Woman. And then we had...
Sleeping with the Enemy.
All filmed in North Carolina, the house where she plots. They go out on the boat, and she plots her swims back, and then goes to the college.
Leaves the crazy.
Yep, goes to the college and meets the professor guy, and there's the whole scene which we were talking about, like Brown-Eyed Girl. And then I love the part when this is actually, we didn't even talk about this, but I love the part when she's looking out the window and sees him in the yard with the sprinkler, and he's doing, when you're a jet all the way.
My favorite is probably... when they're in the theater and they go through, maybe that's the
I think it's Brown-Eyed Girl. Yeah, when they're trying, she's trying on all the
costumes, and she's like finally happy and smiling because she doesn't smile the whole movie.
And then they get back, and it's so funny because that's like the turn. It's so funny that you say that because she was like so happy, and then they get back,
and they're
she starts seeing the signs because she like opens the cabinet and everything's lined up, and she thinks maybe she did that, and then she goes to the bathroom. And the towels are lined up, and she does that like perfect like scream gasp thing that she does, where she's like, ah, like I can't even do it. I'm not Julia Roberts, but and then it gets like crazy, and then she tells him to leave, and luckily he doesn't leave But that guy, I wonder what happened to that guy who plays her husband, because he is creepy.
He is creepy,
and I bet he's been in other things.
He actually was really good though.
He was good.
Totally believable.
So believable. You know what was not believable?
Creepy face. Believable.
Here's what was not believable that annoyed me then and still annoys me now. Everyone knows that you cannot flush a ring down the toilet. Why? You know when she tried to flush? You didn't know this?
No.
Oh yeah, that's not going to go down the toilet. It goes right back up. It's not the water's not going to take something heavy. Okay, so never mind. Everybody doesn't know that. But I'm so glad you could learn something new today.
I learned something new. It's great.
So we got 2 left, and these are biggies.
These are so good. The best for last.
All right,
Save the best
so
for last.
first we're going to go with a South Carolina film.
Yes.
Which, for me, is like South Carolina. Like, this is the epitome of South Carolina. I watched this movie before I moved.
The title is, If You Don't Know How to Do This, You Can't Live Here.
I actually don't know how to do this.
We'll teach her. It's okay.
Another goal for this summer. Mm-hmm. SHAG.
Yay!
Oh, man. And, you know...
It, like, makes me want to be from the 60s.
Totally.
I personally think that I was like, maybe I'm reincarnated. Maybe I was meant to be a 60s baby. Or a 60s teenager.
Right. And you know, back...
College summer.
And I know you know this because you're from here. But I remember even in college going, like Myrtle Beach hadn't changed that much.
No.
Like, the boardwalk wasn't there, but the hotels they reference in it when they're like, that's where Mary Pat Montgomery got pregnant. Mm-hmm. That hotel was there. I don't know if it still is. And just all those, like, little carnival places, they were all there. Well, it's just not the main pier.
Yeah, the pier, the whole, like, all the roller coasters and all of that, yeah.
But that was all there.
That was all there.
Like, 20 years ago.
Yeah, up until, like, I think 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah, now it's like, of course, they've had to modernize it, and they've changed their image a lot, I guess, too.
The boardwalk is basically gone.
But the driving down, even in the late 90s, like, driving down the street and the people hanging out of their hotels, like, boozing and screaming at people, that was all there. That was, like, first week, right? I mean, that's what first week was. Yeah. And, and there's just so many quotes in that. And I think about the fact that when they're under the table and they're, like, drinking out of straws, because that's how Buzz says you get drunk faster. And the part with the maid, and he says, are you Buzzy? And she goes, y'all is the horniest bunch of white folks I ever did see.
So good.
And there's just so many things.
It's the epitome of the beaches of the Carolinas.
Yeah.
And summer and youth.
Ashley, my blogging partner, said to me one day when we were posting about, I wish that I was in the land of cotton. And she's like, oh, do you know that song because you live in Charleston now? And I'm like, no, I know that song from SHAG.
Yes.
And the whole, like, quote of I'll never go hungry again from Gone with the Wind, I know from SHAG. Not from Gone with the Wind.
Even though you should know it from
I know.
Gone with the Wind.
I didn't see Gone with the Wind until I was about 20. I read the book first.
I'm not judging you.
I read the book first, though. I get a halo for that. Or a gold star or something. Yeah, it's a long book. And then I love the part when they were like, what are they going to tell their parents that they didn't go to Fort Sumter? And she's like, we didn't want to go to Fort Sumter. We didn't want to tour goddamn colonial homes. We wanted to go to Myrtle Beach and meet boys and go to wild parties. I know that was a bad accent, but you get the point.
I can probably picture my parents
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And talk about a great cast.
Yes.
I mean, the two
Is
guys.
Is the chick from Drop Dead Fred in it?
Yes.
And it's 25
Phoebe
years
Cates.
this week.
Phoebe Cates.
25 years.
Phoebe Cates is in it. That's who you're speaking of. Bridget
Drop
Fonda.
Dead.
Drop Dead, right. Whatever.
Yeah.
Bridget Fonda.
So good.
Annabeth Gish, who was on Scandal this season and on Pretty Little Liars last season. So, good.
Lots of good ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
I love it. I love that movie. All right. And
we saved the last.
We did save the best.
The best for last.
I'm going to give you the honors.
Dun, 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 dun. Dirty Dancing.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Never. I carried a watermelon.
I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to do the dance move?
And then I carried a watermelon? Like, she's like so sad she said that to him. Like, the moment you get to approach this man of like...
This man. And we talk about this man. I mean, Patrick Swayze. Ugh. She's like the wind. I mean...
You know that I just realized this past year that that's his song?
I know, we talked about it. I think it's when we watched it.
Bad.
And I bought that soundtrack on cassette, and my favorite song on it, and it's so funny because when you're young and you hear things in movie soundtracks, which happens today, you think that, like, they're from that movie.
Yeah.
And then you find out it's a song from, like, 20 years ago. Mine was when they're in the cabin. She, like, goes to the cabin with him, and it's These Arms of Mine. Man, I thought that was the greatest song ever, and I was like, had no idea.
But when he's going to turn it off, and she's like, no, leave it on. Oh, how about a quote? How about the quote where she's sitting there, and she says, The part where she's like, talking about her fears, and she's like, the worst part is that I might leave here and never feel the way I
feel when I feel when I'm with you.
When I'm with you.
Yes. Oh, that is
I
a
wish
good
I knew
one.
the whole. I know the quote in my brain.
I know it's there, but listen,
I'm scared that I'm going to walk out of here and never feel the
way
way I feel when I'm with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Who does not love that?
Gosh, such a great movie.
Who does not love that?
So filmed in North Carolina, Lake Lure. The lake is still there.
Yeah,
nothing else is really there. All of the cabins that they created are all gone. The stairs where she carries the watermelon are there, but with the bridge that she dances across,
where she totally looks 80s, by the way.
Yes, not there. Apparently torn down by rabid fans, according to the internet, which just sounds odd, but whatever. But I guess the part where they practice the lift in the water has to be there because it's a lake.
I've seen it. I've been there.
And then the exterior of the camp or whatever, the resort, is actually in Virginia. So that's still there, but all the interiors and all the cabins and everything were outside of Lake Lure. But yeah, what a classic 80s film. And Jennifer Grey.
The best part about that, though, is that, and I actually mentioned this the other night when I was watching it, because I happened to watch it,
she does like to watch it.
At 2 a.m. when you come back from the bar. It's like my go-to.
Yeah.
Is that they really, every 80s movie that's supposed to be set some other time period, they still look like they're from the 80s. Like all the dancers and everyone, that it was filmed in the 80s because they don't look like they're dressed in the 60s or, well, sort of, but not really. I always get a kick out of that. I think it's hysterical.
Yeah.
The hairstyles.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, and then
does Penny look like she's from the 60s, people?
Well, Jennifer Grey doesn't look like she's from the 60s, and now she doesn't even look like she's from then because she has a whole new face.
I said that when I was watching that. When I was watching it the other night, I said, it's kind of sad because she was such a classic, she wasn't like beautiful per se.
Unfortunately, there's a persona though.
Yeah, she's kind of like a Jennifer Aniston of like Rachel Jennifer Aniston, not Jennifer Aniston now.
Right.
But like,
you mean not Jennifer Aniston?
Jennifer Aniston kept her face.
Not Jennifer Aniston, People Magazine's most beautiful one.
Yes.
Gotta find somebody to make the most beautiful every year.
I know. But it's still, no matter what, I will always love them. It's so great. That's by far my favorite.
Yeah. Your favorite movie.
Save the best for last.
Definitely your favorite movie in the Carolines, but your favorite movie of all time?
It's on my top 5.
Oh.
It's in the top 3 of my top 5.
So it's top 3 is what she's
top
really saying.
Top 3.
All right. Well, I love that.
I love it too.
All right. So cheers. Grab a drink. Cheers to being from the Carolinas.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what state's up next, but
stay tuned.
Exactly.